Hi everybody, and welcome to another Nobody's Watching Wrestling bonus episode. I am Ariel Italic.
I'm Mary Andrews.
I'm me.
And we have with us a very special guest, art rap sensation and co-host of the Tights and Fights podcast, Open Mike Eagle.
Hi everybody, how's it going?
Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, it's a big pleasure.
So we are going to discuss a match that Mike picked. It is an ECW match, is that correct?
What the fuck is ECW?
Oh, ECW is Extreme Championship Wrestling.
How is this related to
Anything.
at the time that it existed?
So this was like, you know how there was hair metal and then like there was grunge? You
Yes,
know? Like ECW was...
Axl Rose versus Kurt Cobain? Yes, I knew this.
So ECW was the grunge. It was like the alternative to the big glitzy, glamorous, big steroid guy WWF stuff of the time, and the WCW stuff into. ECW was like the indie alternative shit.
Related to WWF or whatever it was at that time, right?
Well, related in the sense that like guys would get popular in ECW, and sometimes WWF would come by and like pluck them, you know, and put them on there. Or if guys were like done in WWF and they wanted to do some cool shit, they stop by ECW and like do a program there, like that kind of thing.
And so was ECW, it was on television at the same time as?
Yes, but it was like weirdly syndicated. Like I used to see it on my college campus television station.
Oh.
They would get a tape sent to them and put it on at like 2 in the morning on a Friday. I would see it then. It was hard unless you were like in the tape trading community at that time.
Right.
It was hard to catch ECW, but everybody like knew about it and was aware of it.
Which I'm sure like made it even more kind of punk at
Yeah,
the time.
exactly.
And it was harder to get access to.
They ended up getting on a cable network at some point, but at that time it was basically like over. So it was
And they must have had
Y'all
to like...
kids don't know how good you have it right now.
It's true. So,
Alright, so the match that we are watching is Raven versus Tommy Dreamer. And why don't we start by talking about why this is the match that you chose, why you like this one?
Because there's like a couple moments in it that give me like legit goosebumps, even though I know they're coming, you know what I mean? Like just the energy of these certain moments happening. Because Raven and Tommy Dreamer was a really long story.
I could tell there was like a history, and I could tell that I didn't know shit about it. Like, this is apparently important.
Yes, and that's why like they would do little things and the crowd would just go ape shit because it was a culmination of like 2 years worth of storytelling that was happening like in this one.
it was easily one of the wildest crowds I've
Yeah.
ever
Disastrous.
heard.
I was like, have like palpitations.
It looked scary to
Oh
be
my
there.
God,
Yeah, they were like up in the crowd.
Yeah,
It's
but it was
dangerous.
also just like even in the beginning of the match during the entrances, the crowd looked unhinged to the point where it was like almost felt like there would be a sports riot at some point.
Yeah, are they gonna burn this shit down?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
didn't.
Maybe.
if Raven had won, it could have been a riot. It could have been a riot because people were that invested in Tommy Dreamer as a character at that point.
I know Tommy Dreamer as the character. I don't know Raven. What was his deal other than looking like the bad guy from Breakfast Club?
Oh my god!
That kind of was his deal. Like, and it was wild too because he was a guy who had wrestled all over the country, and his characters before then were like very like entitled rich kid, kind of like Bermuda shorts.
Oh.
Like you wouldn't even believe. He used to go by Scotty Flamingo.
Oh!
The same guy used to go by fucking Scotty Flamingo. But this is one of the things that made ECW, is that these other places, he would be this kind of like neon character, and when he comes to ECW, he gets to like find this dark character. So suddenly he goes from being like, Scotty Flamingo was one of his names, Johnny Polo was one of his names.
Oh my God.
Johnny Polo!
Johnny fucking Polo.
Welcome to the stage, Johnny Polo.
Yeah.
But then he comes to ECW, and he can sulk in the ring.
So, the main thing that I noticed about this match, other than the sweatpants that Tommy Dreamer was wearing, I'm sorry, just like sweatpants, I get it, it's punk, but like, try.
I came up with a backstory for him.
Oh, lovely.
Not knowing anything. He has a lot of body shame.
Oh.
And he really wants to be the type of wrestler that can wear panties. He can't.
He can't.
Not yet, but he's working on it. He wears panties under his bad pants to get used to it. If you'll notice, he picked his ass and the camera zoomed right in on it at the very beginning.
Oh my god.
So,
That's fucking brilliant.
Tommy Dreamer. Also, after seeing him at this comedy thing last night, or whenever you watch this, it exists somewhere in time. He definitely needs a gay best friend.
Oh.
Tommy Dreamer.
What makes
I
you
thought
say that?
he's a good guy.
What is happening?
He has some drama in his life.
Oh.
I'll be your gay best friend, Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, that's his reputation is that he's a really nice
Not
guy.
a great stand-up.
Oh, I wouldn't pay a penny to see him tell the joke.
I don't know. He seemed more invested in really beating the shit out of somebody in this match. There was no jokes. There was a full tour of the facility, though. We got to see every corner of that venue.
Do we know where that
Welcome
was?
to my
Oh,
home.
it was Philly, right? Yeah.
Is that the ECW arena? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw every nook and cranny of that place because there's blood all over it. They're just both just like squirting fluids in every corner. Like, no
Sounds
one get anything out of
glorious.
that vending machine.
It's
That
like
vending
every
machine
leather
is
bar.
tainted.
And
Oh no.
Do you tend to like hardcore matches more than you like regular
no,
matches?
not at all. There was a time, and that's one thing ECW became known for.
Right.
It's kind of where hardcore wrestling kind of developed and became popular. So a lot of people hitting each other with garbage can lids and a guy taking a staple gun to another guy's head or some shit.
No.
Like, I'm not really in it for all that, but when used in the right kind of like grudge match situation where like they've had matches and they just can't determine who's gonna come out on top. So now you're introducing weapons because like it's not gonna be over till like one of these motherfuckers can't walk. Like that's how serious the story is.
Yeah.
Then it works for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Speaking of story, I don't want to jump the gun on other important things, but like we should mention that this builds to a full-on explosion at the end of hundreds of people that I don't know who they are. Like it's like everyone in the audience put
You
on
knew
a
one
weird shirt.
person.
I did know Lawler,
Yeah.
and I was
Yes.
upset to see him, like I always am. But then it just seemed like everyone in the audience put on a weird shirt and jumped in. Like the lights would go out and there'd be like 3 more people in there, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, there's a
Where
lot
do
of
people wrestle?
hiding under the ring. That happens. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like guys that have to like fucking piss under the ring because they're sitting there for like 4 hours waiting for their time to. There's a guy, Sting, who like for like this whole 2-year span, he would just hang out on the ceiling.
Sting? You're talking about Sting?
Sting.
I actually know Sting.
Yeah, there's the face paint,
Yep.
you know, like
You
long
know
hair
Sting?
Sting.
You know
So
Sting?
he was all like bright neon too, and then he went through his dark phase.
He went the black and white. Like,
And
yeah.
all of that is kind of ECW inspired, like that whole
So
period.
I
was-
have seen this in my past.
Yeah, so you've seen echoes of it, even if you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
seen
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actual
I
thing,
do
so-
remember Sting was like, I do remember him very vividly because
So-
he was like real cool, lots of makeup, kind of Ultimate Warrior type of thing.
Yeah, and then he changed and got dark in this like dark period, and then during that time he wasn't coming out to do matches. He would just randomly drop down from the ceiling
In like
and
a Brandon
beat people
Lee,
with
like-
baseball bats. He looked like the Crow.
Yeah, very crow, very
Yeah.
crow, very crow.
Oh, we
Yeah.
should watch one of those.
Guys, I'm nervous too. I didn't think I knew anything.
I'm.
I love you. I'm gonna try to know less.
You said that there were a couple moments in this that give you some like full-on chills. What's some like goosebump action for
Well,
you?
one of them is the Lawler moment, actually. Even
Oh.
though I don't like him either, but that was his purpose
Mm.
in that. Like, there was this interpromotional rivalry that was happening between ECW and WWF at that time.
Mhm.
And so, like, a couple months earlier, they had some ECW guys on WWF television. WWF wasn't doing well at the time, so they were like experimenting, like whatever people will pick, we'll fucking do it because we need to like get the ratings up or whatever.
What was happening in WWF at the time? That was
This
pre-Stone
was like
Cold.
95, yeah. Like they were still in their like coming out of their like super cartoony period.
Okay.
So this is around the time when they had like a wrestler who was like a plumber and like a wrestler
Well,
who
it's
was
exactly
like a
what you're
hockey
saying
dude
with
and
the
shit.
comparison to grunge and hair
Yeah,
metal.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that was
It was
just
peak hair
the
metal,
time.
yes.
That was
Yeah.
just the time. Like
Yes.
we were sad
Right.
and we wanted to talk about it.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
like what they were doing wasn't connecting with anybody. So like what ECW was doing was like connecting. to
Yeah,
people.
makes sense.
But when he shows up, he talks shit to the ECW audience and
Mm-hmm.
the ECW wrestlers, and says this is a bingo hall, this is a piece of shit. Like it's stoking this whole like story of the promotions, even outside of the match, and that's like nobody ever expected to see any WWF person at the ECW arena ever.
That's why they were exploding.
Like Lawler was he was the weekly commentator on WWF television at the time.
At the time?
At the time.
Oh.
Like, so this
Were they
wasn't-
able to like bounce back and forth more freely than it seems now?
This is what we didn't know at the time. ECW and WWF had like this secret financial relationship that we weren't aware of at the time. So to us, it was just like it would have been like Batman showing up in the Avengers movie. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's
like, it just
what
wouldn't-
the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Didn't Transformers fight G.I. Joe once?
Yes, I think so.
Crossovers we want.
Crossover? I think that happened.
That's the crossovers
I
we
was gonna
want.
say yes. Let's talk about looks.
I was immediately enamored with Raven and the whole entourage, hence the little like nod to it today.
It's good. It's good stuff.
This is what's happening. I get
It's
it.
happening.
now.
Also, this is just kind of how I always look.
Yeah. Raven's your
obviously
kind of wrestler.
we're friends, Raven and I.
I liked that. Oh, what was her name? The one who came out with Tommy Dreamer in the all-white crop
Was that
top.
Beulah?
It was Beulah.
Beulah McGill.
I loved
I don't
her.
know, some weird name.
And I was-
McGillicuddy.
McGillicuddy.
I was genuinely hurt when Lawler called her a slut.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't say that about her.
There was a lot.
I know it was a different time, but I was just like, I cannot believe someone would say that.
It was
about
funny
her.
because she was like the protected, like, pure woman in the situation. And she was
You
still,
could tell she was wearing white.
and she was still clearly like white trash. You know what I mean? Like that was so funny. You know?
So beautiful.
Who was she's clearly white trash. Oh God, white trash wanting to be no trash.
Right. Just
Just
role
lean into the trash,
Role play,
people.
You know, role play. They needed a pure queen for the story.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Oh.
clearly that was foisted upon her.
The whole
I
thing
like-
was
I
Look,
like
anyone
Raven's
who wears
girl. Who's
boots
Raven's
that
girl?
high is a queen because they were like real high up.
Wait,
Who
I
was
have
Raven's girl?
I
What
have
was her
notes
name?
on this.
Tawny?
Francine.
Francine?
Wait, Chastity. Her name was fucking
No
Chastity.
way.
Oh
Chastity.
shit!
That's why I wrote it down.
Chastity was wearing white too, but just her top.
Chastity was not. Weirdly, Beulah was representing
She's
Chastity,
never
but
been
Chastity
clean.
was representing.
Her breasts are pure.
Oh my god.
That's fucking
But there was like so much like love triangle about like because Beulah had dated both of them, and I was like, oh, what a shitty place for her to have been in. And they were both sort of trying to win her like a prize.
Yeah, it was
Well,
weird.
there was a lot of that back then, and also, unfortunately, still today with Alicia Fox on 205.
Yeah, and the announce table was like kind of overtly misogynistic.
Oh my
just
God, yes.
throughout.
Yeah.
Just mostly like weirdly though Beulah is like exalted as the pure mother. Everyone just talked about how they want to fuck her the whole time.
Yeah.
So badly that they actually had to bleep one announce moment.
Yeah.
Like full
When they
on.
didn't believe anything else.
No,
Yeah.
there's one announced bleep moment. I was like, that it must be like the horniest thing said in the history of horniness.
Yeah, when those two women started fighting and
Oh,
then it started
God.
bleeping, I was like,
Yeah.
I just can't even begin to fathom
The
what
main
this person said.
ECW announcer, Joey Styles, like that was one of his calling cards.
was just
When-
being nasty.
I have
Yeah,
to just
when-
stop
yeah.
listening to announcers.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
it's like-
bad. I mean, it's good now because like everything's kind of like clean and they're trying to be a lot more like respectful. But back then it was the peak dirt worst.
I mean,
Yeah.
Lawler was also the worst at the time.
Lawler's
with the
gross.
puppies.
Yeah, Lawler's
No.
disgusting. He's still disgusting.
Yeah,
He's an awful person.
Yeah, and awful
Terrible.
as an announcer still. to
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Just mute it, put on an Ariana Grande album. Be done. Speaking of music, they used licensed music to enter the ring, which like, who paid for that? Or do you not do that back in the day?
They didn't pay for it.
Yeah, that's punk rock.
They,
Just steal that shit.
They considered it promotional. They considered it so like they'll just use it and they were like, if we get sued, fuck it, but we're gonna say that we're doing it to help promote the music. So hopefully the labels will be cool with it.
Did they ever get
Well,
sued?
and the
don't
music
think they
industry
ever got
was
sued.
way different back then.
Yeah.
Maybe like it
Yeah.
was just different.
There would be a lawsuit now.
Oh,
But
totally.
they weren't, you know, they weren't really on television either.
That-
So like, they were fucking underground tapes. Like nobody really saw that shit.
All right.
You know?
You can't do that on television, but
That's
you
why
can do
no-
it on cable access.
There you go.
What is like your the best part of it to you?
I think just fucking dream of winning, man. Like
Yeah.
that's like I said, it was a culmination of a really long story. He could never beat that guy. And Raven used to fuck with him so hard. Like Raven used to just fuck with him. Raven used to just have people kick his ass all the time. And Tommy Dreamer's story is interesting because he was brought in like Tommy Dreamer. He was like the fucking white bread good guy, and the crowd fucking hated him. And then
in that environment, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it was fucking
Interesting.
It was Mick Foley who was there at the time. This is before Mick Foley, I think, went to WWF. where Mick Foley was like training Tommy Dreamer how to be edgy.
Oh.
And so like, yeah, so Raven and Tommy Dreamer and it was this whole long thing, and Tommy Dreamer could never beat Raven, and he finally beat him, and it was great.
Another thing I noticed, and I feel like we commented about this on another match. No one did any moves. There was not much actual wrestling.
That's true.
And I think that's part of why, I mean, I was entertained because it was so lit and explosive and
They were
crazy.
running
And just
a
straight
lot.
brutal.
Yeah, and
Just
brutal.
brutality.
But there was no like staging
Right.
or it was just chaos.
It was.
And
Yes.
so there was basically like one DDT and a lot like one off the rope lariat. Like there was no one was really wrestling.
It's true.
Whenever we watch classic matches, I sort of get the feeling that a lot of wrestling was invented like later.
But what is wrestling? Like, what is drag? What is wrestling? You know.
I mean, no, it's true
wrestling
because like
is like the whole thing.
But, like,
it's not just
The components, you know,
wrestler.
it's like it would be like watching drag and being like, oh, nobody contoured back then.
Right. Right.
which like is
Yeah,
kind of true though.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say the most important part of wrestling is just making the fans feel some kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's got nothing to do with the moves, really.
Yeah.
Like, because before there were fucking moves in wrestling, it was just two dudes basically fucking hugging in the ring, you know? And then the guy who you wanted to win either won or lost, and that was the whole wrestling.
Right.
Because everybody thought it was real. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, the whole, like, craft of wrestling is really just emotional manipulation. And, like, the moves part is great. Like, if they pepper that shit in, it's awesome. But the thing is, like, Raven's finishing move is the DDT.
Right.
So
Oh, so that's why everyone
yes,
was doing DDTs to
yes.
each
So
other.
Tommy Dreamer doing it is a
Oh,
commentary on the
okay.
story.
Got it.
You know,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Storytelling DDTs.
Storytelling. That's my finishing move. Storytelling DDT.
Oh.
I love it.
I have to go back to this not contouring, and people didn't do this back then. Children, know your history. Drag didn't start 2 years ago.
It didn't. This is true.
Or whenever.
And
or 10
wrestling
years
too,
ago.
like 10 years, like it didn't start then.
It did not
Because a
start
lot
with
of
Drag
kids
Race.
will go on and see these older queens who still kind of paint in that very old-fashioned way, and they read it because they don't understand it.
Well, but it's. I mean, it
And
makes me.
it's probably very similar with like
It is.
watching these old matches.
It's really hard to enjoy an old match if you only came up seeing wrestling in the 90s and
Right.
the 2000s, whatever, because you don't understand it. Like, the difference was everybody fucking thought it was real.
Right.
So like, if you walked up to a guy and slapped the shit out of him, it could send shockwaves through an arena.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's not even a legal thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be wrestling
Right.
like amateur headgear wrestling. You know, so a guy throwing a punch could make an entire arena full of people angry enough to throw shit.
The
You know?
funny thing too about watching like ECW compared to WWE is it's like you were saying with drag, it's like people who only know WWE are like people who only know RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, and if they see Christine, they're gonna be like,
Right. Or like they
You
don't
know.
know about like the history of the club kids, and that's why like someone like Vivacious is really confusing to a lot of people. And it's like we have to do better probably to like
Educate.
I think this
learn
is like
more about
someone
the
like,
history of wrestling.
We already discussed how no one on our YouTube channel cares about drag.
Well, I meant
Well,
that
I
we
think,
should learn
you
the
know,
history
this
of
is
like,
also, like-
underground wrestling
Yes.
too.
this is what we're doing, okay? This is what we're doing.
I'm here to teach.
Yeah, we learned
that
a
one
lot
was
today. I
We
feel like we
learned
need like
a
a
lot.
reading rainbow, like we learned thing.
Don't make our editor do that. That's just gonna cost extra.
Ah.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Open Mike Eagle, what can we let you promote to our audience?
Well, if your audience likes wrestling, I do a wrestling podcast, Tyson Fights. It comes out every Thursday. It's on the Maximum Fun Network. It's in your phone right now. You just don't know it yet.
There's a link below. Woo! I'm Ariel Italic at all the places.
I am sponsored by Vivian Gabor. Thanks for the face today, girl.
I'm very hot and sweaty.
It's very warm.
Bye.
Paper plate.